Welcome to another episode of MindShareTV, where we connect thought leaders shaping the future of learning and innovation. I'm your host, Robert Martellacci, founder and CEO of Mindshare Learning, here at the Mindshare Workspace in Air Mills Town Center in the great city of Mississauga. And today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Indra Kubicek, who is the CEO of Digital Moment, a not-for-profit focused on AI, ethics, and more, and Lee Taal, founder of ChatterHigh, a platform dedicated to helping students explore career pathways and digital literacy through engaging learning experiences. Recently, ChatterHigh, in partnership with Digital Moment, launched new artificial intelligence resources designed to empower both students and educators. These resources aim to deepen the understanding of digital citizenship, online safety, and responsible AI use. Congratulations, Indra and Lee. Welcome to the show. And perhaps let's get your backstory on how you arrived where you are, Indra. And congratulations. Fascinating journey for you, no doubt.
Thank you so much, and great to be here. I'm really excited to have this conversation. And actually, my background was completely outside of the tech world. So I was originally in finance as a chartered accountant, first working in Vancouver and then London, England. And as a young woman in my early 30s, I became, by accident, an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur typically means you really need to understand tech. And this was about almost 15 years ago. And it was at that moment that I realized I really wished I had been learning at the time coding and programming as a younger person. And the school systems weren't really catching up to what the world needed. And we're still, struggling to really evolve for innovation. And so I completely changed career paths. And 15 years later, I've been on this journey, ensuring that every young person has equal access to digital literacy skills.
Well, congratulations. And what an amazing credential that is to have. I have twin boys who happen to have those credentials, and they met up after university at KPMG and then pivoted to M&A in a bank in Toronto. So, but kudos to you for that. And Lee Taal, over to you. Former winner of the Canadian EdTech Award, National Award, C21, past board member. You've done a lot in a short career.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the theme here is that, careers are not necessarily linear. It's like a great book, Life is a Bowl of Spaghetti, right? Similar to Indra, my journey was a complete surprise to me as well. I was going to be a young, football and / paleontologist, football player / paleontologist, one of those combinations, but ended up in the command line for the Navy, managing at a locomotive facility, a Greenbelt and Six Sigma, then into the advertising and marketing world. And now I'm an EdTech CEO in an industry where you really couldn't have taken a course in high school to learn what we do today.
That's true enough. I started in EdTech almost 30 years ago before it was EdTech. So,
yeah.
But you raise a good point. It's not a direct path, right? It's important to build a good base, follow your passion, but be practical. And really focus on your strengths and then build off of that. Some will stay the course. My wife was in city planning 25 plus years and then pivoted to become a city clerk, but stayed in municipal government. But there are those hard TSN turning points that, right? I was in sport, I was sport information director, studied sport management and economics. And then I pivoted to the business side of the university at York. And then I was lured away by Kevin O'Leary to launch the learning company, School Business in Canada. So, I think that growth mindset is really important, especially now here we are in the age of AI. So let's unpack your journey and your partnership, and congratulations on that. And let's begin with what inspired ChatterHigh to collaborate with Digital Moment on this new suite of AI learning resources.
Yeah, absolutely. So much like my career path, the journey for ChatterHigh had to evolve as well. And initially, our activity was very simple, a daily quiz where kids would visit real world websites to explore post-secondary and career options. And we would gamify that with points and prizes and competitions and philanthropy. Just prior to the pandemic, miraculously, we broadened our platform to include something that we call modules. So essentially like the daily quiz, but on a specific topic with questions that are in a certain order. And when you know it, then the whole world sort of shut down and everybody needed a digital interface. So we started working with organizations like Junior Achievement and WorkSafe to create modules on those topics specifically, and we could gamify those. And that has snowballed now. We've grown all across the continent, and we have multiple federal departments, provincial governments, national organizations. Some of those are, people that you've interviewed in the past, Skills Canada, Let's Talk Science, and so on. And as we've grown, those folks are introducing us to other people. And I met Indra through an introduction to another fellow C21 board member, Bonnie Schmidt from Let's Talk Science, who said, hey, Indra and the Digital Moment folks are doing some really cool work in AI. They also have some information they would love to get into schools. And so we met, and it was pretty much obvious that this was a neat and needed partnership right from the outset.
Well said. Indra, over to you. Give us your take on this.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, shout out, thank you to Bonnie for really putting us in touch. And for us on the digital moment side, we started thinking about AI in 2018. So I had recently moved to Montreal, back to Canada, and at that point, really looking at what are the industries that tick in the city. And the MILA, Montreal Institute for Learning Algorithms, was just launching. And similar to how I felt about coding, 5 or 7 years before that, I thought, oh gosh, AI, like, what is this? I don't understand it at all. And if I'm feeling this kind of nervous and anxious about it, how are young people going to feel? I can't say at all that I anticipated where it was going to go. I don't think anyone could. I mean, it's an incredible shift in a very short period of time. So we didn't have that kind of foresight, but we did get into this quite early and partnered with international partners like the Raspberry Pi Foundation in the UK and UNESCO to really start thinking about how do we go into classrooms? How do we start getting teachers thinking about this and wanting to build their confidence around the topic? And then obviously ChatGPT dropped and the whole world changed, and AI became a kitchen table conversation that people are having, and we're all using it, whether we know we're using it or not, on a daily basis. And so for us, partnering with ChatterHigh was really about the gateway and the access to young people everywhere across the country, and meeting them in their classroom through this amazing tool they've developed to start exploring, adventuring into AI, and really building, and we'll get into that a little bit more, but their critical thinking skills about kind of what this really is, how it applies to their daily lives, and hoping they're going to understand they have agency as well in kind of this whole AI journey we're all on.
Absolutely. We like to call them the 7 C's, and critical thinking is certainly one of those key C's for sure. AI is transforming classrooms everywhere, as we know. How do these resources help students and educators better understand and navigate AI in their daily learning and teaching?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, we really kind of want to make sure that we can demystify AI for them and really take them on a bit of a journey. So one of the ways we do that is also looking at kind of segments of information around, what are the limitations of AI? So what can it do? What can it do? It's not human. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have its own, emotional and intellect. It's essentially being built off of data sets, and how do data sets get built, and kind of what are the biases that can be built into these data sets, and really breaking it down in a way that young people can start to understand how it's built and how they can use it, and maybe where they can't use it and it can't do things for them, and some of the things that can be amplified through AI. So more recently, the latest kind of topic that was added to the modules was around misinformation, disinformation, and deepfakes, and really helping young people understand even how they could accidentally be part of the problem. So we want to make sure that they're safe, that they understand limitations, that they know how to make their own decisions around how they're going to use AI. But then again, underneath all of this is we want them to be builders and creators, not just passive users of any technology. And so how can we start sparking their interest to think about how they would innovate and build with AI?
Fascinating. You mentioned digital citizenship and online safety in your materials. How does Digital Moment weave those crucial elements into AI learning experience?
Well, I think essentially what we really want them to think about, as I said, is thinking about how they would be, the people who will be building AI, and how they would consider if they're going to be creating some of these tools, and if they're going to be building things and solutions out in their communities, what are the things they need to take into consideration, so that can then allow them to think about when they're using these tools, have those things been taken into consideration? So privacy for people, are we actually getting diverse data sets? Do we have the voices of the communities who are going to be impacted by these tools? Are they actually in the build and the creation and decision making behind them? And really making them think about how they as citizens have the ability to shape and decide and determine how AI is going to look. And we do that in kind of bite-sized sessions through the modules. And we have other programming where we have a lab that we do with teens, etc., where we can actually give them an opportunity to go behind AI and sort of unpack it and take it apart and think about how it was built.
Thank you for that. Educators often look for practical classroom tools. What kind of activities or strategies can teachers expect from this program to build confidence in teaching AI concepts?
Well, one of the things that we know that teachers have is limited time. And again, we know this is also something that's not yet in the curriculum in Canada. So AI literacy is very new. It's not embedded anywhere in the country specifically. And so we're looking at ways that the teachers can learn about AI and take it into different subjects that they're already teaching, so that they're able to understand and learn around how AI is impacting their classroom, different subjects that they're focused on. And one of the specific things we like to do is we do run free teacher trainings with teachers. We then can introduce them to the modules and tell them that they can go back into their classrooms. Their students can do this. There is a teacher module that they can do as well on their own time, and then give them learning resources and training materials. So one of the things that teachers always want to know is, this is really great, this has really opened my eyes, but how am I actually going to teach this in my classroom, and how am I going to be able to still fit this in and check all the boxes I need to check this year? And so we're focusing on really building lessons plans and tools that teachers then can take the information they're learning with us and apply it in the classroom.
Thank you for that. Incidentally, I understand the OECD and PISA are going to be assessing AI literacy in 2030, and that's not too far away, is it?
No, so we've been very closely watching. We were also involved in UNESCO, has also built out an AI framework for teachers and students, and now the OECD is as well. And at Digital Moment, we're actually looking at these different frameworks and thinking about how could we potentially build a broad national framework for Canada that we could get all provinces and territories on board with.
Well, kudos
on a short period of time.
Yes, and kudos to you for your leadership and ambition to have the vision for that. As a CPA at that, that's impressive. So over Lee, perhaps you can share a little bit. You've got the website up and take us through a bit of a tour, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's really cool to have, these content experts, right, in the country, and we have a lot of them in the different areas. And typically they'll have information that's online, whether it's, just stuff that people need to be aware of, like, did you know you can get jobs like this, or whether it's the actual literacy and educational component. And in the curriculum, as Indra was saying, like for AI literacy, it hasn't got a natural landing place yet. So, but wherever we go and we talk about it, like, everybody is aware that this is so important. And so wouldn't it be nice to just give the teachers an activity, let the authorities be the educator, and the teachers can simply facilitate it? And that is how ChatterHigh is designed to do. It's funded by those content authorities, so it is free for the schools to use. And in this case, what would happen is we've had about 15,000 students active this fall already from close to 600 schools across Canada, both languages.
Amazing.
And so it is important to say these modules are bilingual, so they're available in French and English. But basically, teachers and students create their ChatterHigh account. We won't go into all the teacher management features, but there's classes they can assign things. And in this case, when they come into modules, they're going to see a huge long list of modules. Now, I've arbitrarily picked a school in British Columbia. Mm-hmm. When they see this little icon, that means that the authority is giving a certificate to the students for completing these modules. And in some cases, there's a certain grade that has to be received. And there's a lot of different things in here. But if I filter this big list by AI and digital literacy, as a student, I can see the one course that's available for me today called Adventure into AI. If I were in my teacher account, there would be a second course that is essentially teaching teachers how to teach AI, which I think is really cool. So yes, teachers can do their own modules as well as a student could, but it's all organized into these topics that Indra was sort of briefing through. I can see there's 16 questions in this first module, and there's a bit of context, some information. Then there's kind of a mission focus in here. Go find me the answer to this question, multiple choice, and then the research button it will open up a new tab, and the answer is on this page. And so we are educating them about AI in this case, specifically from a literacy perspective. We're also teaching them how to read these types of websites, and that is a wonderful bonus skill. They don't learn in ChatterHigh; they're learning on the real world website. So that'll help build their confidence later when they want to go back or look for new things. But they'll earn points as they do these modules. These points can then either be donated to Food Banks Canada, which is really motivating for kids, or they can use their points to enter draws to win prizes, bit of a laundry list of prizes in this particular district. And then finally, we run competitions. So, and we mentioned Bonnie a couple of times, so I'll throw it a little trigger. So let's
valued member of C21 Canada.
Exactly. She's a co-founder of Let's Talk Careers, which is the largest digital career exploration competition in Canada now. Skills Canada joined us a while ago, and now we have some other national.
Congratulations.
NAV Canada. And so in this case, basically, for 80 days of competition, 40 in the fall, 40 in the spring, we take the points earned and divide that by the populations. And this ranks the schools, and schools will win prizes. Students can earn bursaries on their own leaderboard. And Skills Canada makes the coolest championship banners for the top for Canada's most informed school. And some of these schools have these banners hanging down the hallway. So the gamification piece is useful. Think, hey, you got to learn about taxes. Let's gamify that. Makes it a little more interesting. But I mean, on the AI side, we're finding that there's a lot of uptake. And I'll just quickly jump into some of the metrics that, we obviously protect the students' identities, but and see the engagement metrics. And so this is the daily heartbeat of activity in Indra's modules. And, the Anglophone module on AI literacy is pretty much crushing it here. Like since it's the moment it launched, the appetite is quite high. And I know that doesn't surprise you, Robert.
For obvious reasons,
Obvious reasons. And so it's fantastic to see, the level of activity that Indra's getting in her modules. She also has content in the daily quiz on careers, the different career. That's an interesting topic. Will AI take away our jobs? Well, actually, Digital Moment has some perspective on that. And here's some information. And we're getting that out through the daily quiz. So right now, Indra's had about 7,000 students, visit web pages relating to these topics about 91,000 times. And we can see that kids are doing pretty well. So very fun to see the uptake, and obviously the need is great in Canada for these type of resources.
Thank you for that interesting study that I could share a couple highlights from KPMG, where my kids were for 3 years. They came out with a study recently on AI usage amongst kids, extremely high. I think it was 72%, and quite a jump from the previous year, about 25% more. But 77% of the kids wanted to learn how to use AI responsibly. They wanted a course on how to use AI effectively. So the two of you are very much on point when it comes to AI literacy among students. Now, this may have been a post-secondary study, but I would suspect that it holds true. It's relatable to K-12 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at a conference last week in Qatar, a social development conference, and we were running a session on, Canada was running a session on AI and employment in youth. And definitely when you talk to young people, they want to have this knowledge. They know that their knowledge is limited to what's being shared with them, through social media, etc. And so I would absolutely think that young people want to see this in the classroom and in other learning environments that they're in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Lee? Great little test drive. Any final thoughts to share before we wrap this portion up?
No, I'm excited. I think we'll let a little bit of the news out of the bag here, but we're building a new course with Digital Moment on media literacy, which is also obviously a very pressing issue these days with all the news and fake news and everything else going on. How are kids to know what is real? And so we're excited to have that come out in the second semester this year.
Yeah.
Thank you for that sneak peek. Finally, what do you hope students and teachers will take away from exploring AI through ChatterHigh's platform?
I'll let Indra answer that one.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So for us, this is a journey. It's a long journey, as we all, as we were talking about, what careers are coming into AI, what careers are shifting, what are changing, where is this all going? I don't think anyone has the crystal ball. And so we want to start young people on this journey. We want to spark their interest, spark their curiosity, get them engaged, and then really, allow them to flourish and go into many other trainings that us and others have, and sort of persevere down this journey of wanting to understand it better, and potentially seeing themselves in jobs that they didn't have the confidence to feel they could go into until they roll up their sleeves and start getting a little bit more engaged.
Thank you for that. So before we wrap up, here's a MindShare fun fact question for you, Lee and Indra. If you could have an AI assistant for a day to handle anything in your personal life, what tasks would you hand over to it first? And I'll share mine too after.
I'll jump in first because I want to hear Indra's, but if they could cook the meals, that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Where would I even start? I have a 3-year-old, and a to-do list like that is this long. So I'm like, if it could just sort and prioritize my to-do list on what's the exact next thing I need to know, where I need to be, that would be great. Someone else told me they want it to be their personal travel planner, and I thought that would also be, heard that last week, that would also be an excellent use.
Cool. I really look forward to, apparently for Christmas, I'm getting a robot that will not only sweep the floor, it will wash the floor. And I'm really looking forward to taking that off my list. we inherited my daughter's dog. So
I was going to say, you must have pets. Yeah.
I inherited, Romeo is a great dog. I can't complain about him, but he is a Bernedoodle with a lot of fur, and he tracks a lot of stuff when he comes through the door. So, but I can't wait for Christmas.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I have a few cats, so I could use that as well.
So final thoughts to share before we wrap up.
I mean, I would just say we're really excited to have launched this. We're really hoping that we can get others on board to spread the word. As Lee said, this is for every student and teacher anywhere in Canada. We're all almost starting at zero out there with knowledge around AI. And so my final thought is, if this is engaging to you at all, to reach out if you see opportunity to support and partner and spread the word, really.
Thank you for that. Over to you, Lee Taal.
Yeah. I mean, the resources are free, so sharing them widely is useful, because then more teachers will find out about it. And I guess my final word is, it's fun to meet people like Indra and organizations like Digital Moment. There seems to be like so many that you just didn't even know were there, and they are out there and doing great work. So we're glad to be part of that and help create that interface to get their information into the classroom.
Well, with that, it really does take a village, doesn't it, of collaborators and partners to transform learning and help kids, flourish, as we talked about. And we're immersed in the future work and learning here every day to support our community. And Indra and Lee, thank you for joining us, for leading the way in building AI literacy among students and educators. I'm so excited for the opportunities for them to tap into those free resources. To our listeners, you can explore these new resources by visiting ChatterHigh.com and learning more how to bring AI awareness into the classroom or home learning environments, of course. And until next time, my name is Robert Martellacci at the MindShare Learning Report. Stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you.